Well, hi, folks. Welcome to Radio FM 88, Dreaming the New Dream with Jeffrey Shaw, broadcasting from our studios in Brisbane. Our co-host is in the Northern Hemisphere. That's the delightful young lady at the very top. That's Andrena Forrest. And in the middle is our guest who we've had on in December. And well, I have to say our guest created a lot of, warmth and understanding about the world of Sufism. But Andrena reached out to him for tonight's show, and it's really important that we brought Abdul on. Sometimes you get blasé about life, and then sometimes life comes and meets you face on, and then you realise there is an emotional body that makes up the human form. We can't all be Mr. Spock and everything's logical and left brain. We've got to integrate both the left and right brain and then be able to move into our heart. And that's what tonight's all about. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, Andrena. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeffrey, and welcome to everybody who's listening to Dreaming the New Dream, or if you're listening to the replay. Today is the 11th of April, 2024. And today it's my great pleasure to have Abdul Karim back here on the show. So welcome, Abdul. And it's really lovely to see you again. And I know today our main focus is to be able to help you, support you, for you and your family, and any fundraising, which we'll go into and put links up. But we had you on the show last December. I mean, that was 4 months ago now. And gosh, what's happened for you since then? Anyway, what was I going to say? And you touched soul then. I had so many people say what a beautiful soul you are. And you are a beautiful soul. And Carol and I were privileged to meet you in, I think it was October, and meet the rest of the tribe. And ever since we've had such a lovely connection.
Yeah, October the 7th, ironically, huh?
Yeah.
That's the exact day we met.
Yeah, so it's just, it's just amazing, the stepping stones. So, and I know since then you're going to share all about Gaza, your family, how you've lost your family, and I've got no idea what you must be going through. I couldn't imagine, and all I can say is, once again, we're sending you all our love and prayers and healing to you and your family. And if there's anything else we can do, please let us know. So without further ado, please, you can start wherever you would like to start, because I know this is going to touch soul for many, many, many people.
Thank you very much, Andrena and Jeffrey, for having me here again. Hey, everybody. Good to be here. It's crazy how life can turn, right, for you within the space of weeks and months, even days sometimes. Since my last show with you in December, my life has been turned upside down in ways I couldn't have even think of. And in tragic ways, sadly, at this time. Since our last interview, and I remember clearly the messages I was sending for some of your viewers can remember. For those who want to visit or revisit the first interview, I was talking about the need for to view the Palestinians and the Israelis as the same, the need for love and coexistence, the need for peace. And I was giving perspective, calling for peace and love in the Holy Land between the two peoples. For me to realize only a few weeks after the show that I'm going to be hit with the direct impact of the conflict on my family. About over a month ago now, our family home in Gaza was targeted by air bombardment. by Israeli jets. My family home, where my mom and the rest of the family members were. That day, they were fasting to gain strength, going through the Gaza. I don't want to even call it a Gaza war. It wouldn't be fair to call it that. It's an assault on Gaza that really needs to stop. Is serving no purpose whatsoever other than increasing the suffering of all of us, not just the Palestinians and Israelis. It's just mindless and heartless, and it needs to stop. So they were going through this assault, my family, at the time, for like 144 days or something. Every single day, wishing for this to end, that they won't be the next target, etc. Only to face it head on, face to face, that day. So they were seeking strength in fasting and prayer. It was sunset. This is when they break their fast that day. Anyway, food was scarce, no electricity, not enough water, not enough food. So they were going into fasting mode and seeking strength in that and in prayer. This is when they gathered to eat that evening. This is when our family block, actually the whole block. We live in Gaza, my family, cousins and uncles and aunties, they all live in one big block, several buildings, absolutely back to back, adjacent next to each other. And as such, the entire family block got bombed. I sent you, Jeffrey, some videos of the aftermath. Yeah, this is my dear mom there. This is the very last time I saw her, some 10 years ago. This is our last memory together. And I couldn't go to Gaza since then. So yeah, they were seeking strength, getting together, breaking their fast, having the first meal, their dinner, or breaking the fast for the first time. This is when our entire block was bombed. All the houses of our uncles and cousins, about 5 of them, were flattened, and our house was hit also. Most of the family members, the cousins and relatives, were evacuated earlier on, and my family were there. They chose to remain in their house. Reason being, initially our house was hit by a tank missile a few weeks earlier, by a tank shell. They evacuated into an UNRWA school. They took shelter into a United Nations school, but that school was bombed, and this is where we lost my uncle, our cousin. This is our family homes. This is the entire block, and this is how they drop bombs on civilians. This is just not right. And it's happening under the nose and the eyes of the world to see. This is literally our family homes, where we spent all our life. This is our living room. This is where we spent, or what used to be the living room. This is where we spent. I grew up here. This is where we spent most of our time. We are now celebrating Eid after fasting. This is the drawing books of the little ones. This is where we would be celebrating Eid, like right now. But my family are now homeless and scattered, and half of them are murdered. So what an Eid. This is my niece here on the wall. She was murdered in this very place. These are all our cousins and uncles' houses. We used to live together in like our little small community. As you can see, everything's flattened. They were injured. My sister lives next door as well, who's married with children. They were all injured, but they survived, thankfully. However, as you can see, Yeah, this is my cousin there clearing the rubble afterwards. My dad and mom. Yeah, this is the last time they visited me in London. The last time I was with them. This is my brother's family here. That's my nephew. That's my brother. You can see him in another video being pulled from the rubble minutes after the attack by the civil service. So yeah, it hit home, and so close at that. Um, um, at a moment, yeah, this is the video of the moments after the attack. As you can see, the civil service is just looking everywhere, shouting, "Is anybody alive?" The rubble is on top of people because the floors collapsed on them. This is where they are pulling my brother here. They found out that and his family. My father was there. He survived. That's my brother, as you can see. And as they pull him, if you see, the Quran, the holy book, pops up from his chest, from on top of his chest, indicating that he was reading at that moment, seeking strength and comfort in the holy book. And this is what my sister confirmed, because she survived. She was in the room like a minute before the attack. She just left to grab something from the kitchen for them to eat, and then it was it. That's my brother. That's my brother and my nephew and his family. Yeah, that's my dad, mom. Yeah. Yeah, and I woke up one morning on my travel, and it was on Al Jazeera. I could not believe my family's name was being mentioned on Al Jazeera, Al Jazeera news station, and our neighborhood. And I was like, oh no, is this really happening? You know, is my family on the news? And it was just so shocking to watch the actual footage from our home, from our living room, where TV crews and civil service teams are rushing in, and then there I saw my brother being pulled from under the rubble. I had to screenshot the whole thing. This is the video that I showed you. I screenshot it. It was on the news. And I haven't been there for like more than 10 years. I couldn't, as you can imagine, it's a war zone. And to just see that on the news, your own brother being brutally murdered with the rest of his family, and your own mother like this, is the toughest thing that anyone can imagine. It's the toughest thing anyone can face or come to terms with. And especially when you've, as a family, you've always been calling for peace and love. You've always been, yeah. This is my nephew on the Gaza beach swimming, and with his sister, my niece. Yeah, little angels. That's yeah, that's her. That's my brother. He was a good tennis player. He actually won the Gaza championship in tennis.
Wow.
Yeah. He's a sportsman. You know that part of me feels like he wasn't given a fair chance. He's a bodybuilder too. You know, a guy just decides to drop a bomb from the air. No, like he wasn't even given a fair fight. Mm. Ooh.
That's what it's like, eh? You don't know what to say, eh?
Is for me, I mean, your courage and strength to be able to share, because like I said, I've got no idea. I mean, to see all that and, you know, and lose all your family members, and so many have been injured. Yeah. It's, you know, it's a hard one. It's, you know, I really don't know what to say, Abdul. I really don't, because we're all with you. We're all praying for you. And, you know, I've had lots of messages from friends. How can we support you? And I said, well, you know, watch the show and then take it from there. But you've obviously, I mean, you're so connected with your faith and your religion and your strength that gives you that inner strength to be able to keep going and to be able to share. Because, I mean, other people couldn't do it. They just break down and just wouldn't be able to share. So, you know, it's just wonderful that you can share this with us. I know it's the horrors, but we're seeing it from a different point of view.
Thank you, Andrena. Thank you. It's that same faith that's keeping the entire Palestinian people standing and facing this reality. Look, that's my brother, prostrating and giving gratitude and thank after winning the tournament. You know, this is it. This is everything. We seek it from within. And I just wanted to mention why it's the hardest thing to even share and talk about this, because but I still chose to, because of the level of dehumanization that's being portrayed in the media and everywhere about my people, including my family. You know, I just wanted everyone to know that, hey, these are human beings just like you and I. You know, they have their hopes, they have their families, they have their sports and favorite food, and you know, and aspirations for the future. This is happening to real people. And you know, do you can you not relate? Can you not meet them at the can we not meet at the common humanity? Can we not do something to make this stop? I mean, would you want this to happen to anyone you know? Hey, well, you know me now, and here I am. I'm telling you that this is happening to humans, to people. Wake up. You know, this desensitization that we are subjected to is like black magic being pulled on people. This apathy has to stop, because it gives way for this to continue. And if it means that me having to use my family story and bring that forward for people to wake up, be it. I'll do it. I'll bite the pain and do it. And this is the decision I've decided to do. Like, trust me, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to handle. But somebody's gonna have to do something about it. This can't continue. This has every potential, God forbid, to spill over and reach everyone's doorsteps. People don't even realize how dangerous this is. It can easily flare up. It is volatile as it is globally. And this is not just over Palestine, Gaza. This is like major powers are involved there. There's every apparent and hidden power involved there. Jerusalem, this is the Holy Land. This is the Heaven's Gate. This is the center of the world in a way, and so many hands are in this. We're not blind to that. We understand the power struggle and the power dynamics, apparent and hidden. We know the game. We are the natives of the land, and we are telling the world, the humans, the brothers and sisters all around the world, that hey, this is not just a Palestinian cause. This impacts all of us. The pain in the Holy Land is our collective pain. We have to come together and bring an end to this suffering and this violence. It has to stop. It's embarrassing. It's shameful. And it doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve the common good of our humanity. And don't underestimate your contribution. Any contribution, your prayers, your voice, raising awareness, maintaining peace and love, support in any way you can. In this case, financially, it's needed for me to be able to rescue my family now, because half of them are still stuck in that situation. Since the attack on my family's home, we lost 5 other cousins in other areas. Since then, it's ongoing by the day. It hasn't stopped for the last 6 months. Anything could happen. My father was injured. He was in the same room with the rest of the family. He was severely injured, and now he's recovering, but he's under immediate threat with my sister, brother, and other sisters as well, and their children and family. I have 19 family members to evacuate, and it's not possible to evacuate. Like, no one is given either the freedom to evacuate. You have to pay the Egyptians $5,000 to $10,000 per adult to evacuate them. And this is the only way. Israel has blocked all the borders, and Egypt too. And the only way is through Egypt with money. This is otherwise, 2.2 million people are stuck in that small enclave called the Gaza Strip, and it's being bombed for 6 months. More destructive bombing power than Hiroshima 3 times combined over the past 6 months. This is insane. Imagine the level of terror that's inflicted on the children, the women, and the people, and the vulnerable. Majority of the people who get killed are women and children. What are we doing here? What are we trying to achieve? There's nothing of the declared war aims are being achieved other than the killing of innocent civilians, mainly women and children. More than 30,000 people. They say 20,000 people are missing under the rubble with no possibility of getting them out. So why are we talking about 50,000 people being slaughtered like this? Statistically, more than half of them are children and women. Well, the majority of Gaza are underage children, really, now. And it's the most densely populated area on earth. Look at this. That's the Gaza Strip. It's only like 15 miles by 10 by 15 miles. Right? It's like a couple of boroughs of London. And there's 2.2 million people there. And then you're dropping these bunker busters on them? Come on. How can this be allowed? And I understand the complexity of the situation. I understand it. But nothing can justify that. There has to be other solutions.
Yeah.
And the karmic cycles we're creating in this will, can consume us for generations to come. Have we not learned the lessons? This hasn't started today. This is thousands of years ago, and it's still ongoing. Somebody has to intervene. There's massive ancestral baggage here that needs to be liberated. So I call upon all the healers, the shamans, the gurus, the druids, whoever, the sheikhs, the Sufis, everybody that's able to work with this. Please, we need to liberate this cycle or these cycles. We need to amplify our prayers and send love and healing to the region. Immediate ceasefire. We have to achieve that. Otherwise, this has every potential to spill, and there is enough dark in the world right now that's actively working towards this being spilled over. This is the Gaza Strip. Look, on the Mediterranean. If that spills over, if Lebanon is involved already, if and other forces in Yemen and Syria, etc. It's already expanding, and before you know it, it's just that spark, God forbid, can reach everywhere, you know?
Mm.
It's already tense between superpowers. And they've got their hands into play. It just takes one person pressing one button, the wrong button, that the freaky one that everybody's fearing, and then the whole world is engulfed in, God forbid, some serious war globally. Do we want that? Well, make no mistake about it, the Gaza issue has the potential to spark that. We gotta stop this. This is gonna reach everyone's doors otherwise. I'm really sending an SOS signal from here to anyone's listening. Where is the sanity? Or are we only learning the hard way? My family had to bear the brunt of this fully. I don't want any other family to do so. We have to do something about it.
Yeah, it's the power of the people now more than ever. You know, with all the different things that's going on around the world, it's a time to stop talking, but coming together as one and just praying and doing all the things that are going to help to bring peace in the world. But we've got to find that peace within our own hearts first.
Yes, yes, and this is what I've been always calling for, is to do the work within. People don't do their spiritual work.
Hey, Abdul, I mean, hey, my understanding is, didn't Egypt open up 3 different border crossings so that people could come down into the Sinai? Didn't they open that up to allow Gaza refugees to come down?
Yeah, of course they could, but this is where the complication is. You also need to listen to all sides involved. This is Egypt's worst strategic nightmare that they don't want to deal with, because if their fear is they don't want to enable Israel to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians from Gaza into Sinai and then shut off that border, take over Gaza, and say, here we are. That's the reality on the ground. They have a track record of that, Israel, right? They have a track record of pushing population away and then taking over land. So Egypt doesn't want to carry and I'm not finding justifications for anybody here. I'm just saying what the dynamics and why people don't want to do what they're supposed to do. They don't want to open the border wide for the Palestinians to flee, or for them to be forced into Sinai, so that they don't end up having to establish a homeland in Sinai, which is Egyptian territory. But also it will compromise Egypt's sovereignty. The buffer zone that Gaza is providing Egypt against Israel, so to speak, will be compromised. And they don't want that, unfortunately, on the cost of the Palestinians. No, in politics, nobody cares about the people, right? They just use as pawns in their strategic moves. But also the Palestinians don't really want that as well, because politically they'll lose their homeland, and this is one of their biggest fears, trauma, the Nakba. They don't want another Nakba, what we call the Nakba. Which is the loss of historic Palestine and the forced eviction of, not even eviction, ethnic cleansing is the proper term to use, of the Palestinians from their homes. It's already happened in the 1948, and it continued slowly with the expansion of illegal Israeli settlements, Zionist settlements. Is happening under the watch of the international community. Again, it's embarrassing. It's against international law. No one is enforcing anything. So the last thing the Palestinians want is to be sent in the desert with another Nakba, another ethnic cleansing, and they lose their homeland once and for all. That's why they're staying there, a lot of them. Obviously, some wants to, but it's not possible to leave. So it seems to like the politicians are managing the situation. So they're like, okay, if you want to leave, pay $5,000 to $10,000, and at least not everybody will leave. We'll manage this, so it's not like an exodus. We'll just get like, it's a weird setup, you see, and my family are caught up in that. So my priority is to evacuate my family, but I'm here trying to explain that it's not as simple as, hey, open the borders, take everybody. Well, then Israel is getting away with everything against international law. Look at all the resolutions. Look at the last United Nations Security Council resolution for ceasefire. Look at the Hague court order for Israel, etc. Nothing is being respected. Like, and the Palestinians are losing respect for all these establishments and in politicians. That's why I'm calling here for the rank and file, the normal people, the you and I, to come together and not underestimate your involvement, your prayer, your financial contributions, your voice, your stance. They failed us, our so-called reps, representatives, they failed us. Well, maybe it's time for us to do something about it, but from a good place of heart, because these politics are heartless. Look what it's doing to the people on the ground. Yeah.
So with your family,
you've got that coastline. So you got that strip of coastline there.
Yes.
Surely you guys must have boats or something to go fishing and so forth. I mean, if the borders are closed, are you saying that the actual strip line of the coast is also closed with a blockade or something, so you can't even get out from the
historically
beaches?
Historically, for tens of years, this is a completely military zone. Israeli warships are guarding the coast completely. If you go within a certain limit, even sometimes just a couple of kilometers in, you get shot down. I mean, this is well documented if you follow the news and the research that's been done. I personally, when I was in Gaza, I was for 2 years with a Finnish researcher doing research on the Palestinian coast, on the Palestinian fishing industry, and they're shooting them down constantly. This is as dangerous as going to any other military border. It's heavily guarded by warships. They'll shoot you down mercilessly. There is no way anybody can survive, especially now. You can't even get in the waters, even a few hundred meters, let alone attempting to cross. No way. Like the whole coastline and the northern frontier and then the eastern one. This is completely, and part of the southern one as well. This is completely engulfed by Israel, as you can see there on the map. And just a little portion of the southern border is with Egypt, and that's closed, pretty much closed and tightly controlled. Even aid is not being allowed now to cross. So it's a real concentration camp situation. If
I was
you
going to
want
say
to
that.
be blunt about it, if you want to be blunt about it, it's a concentration camp happening now under our eyes. It's not back, and it's ironic, right? It's like if our, I'm going to call them cousins on the other side, suffered, and I sympathize in history in Germany in such concentration camps. Come on, the last thing you want to do is inflict the same thing. What are we doing? You know,
totally.
it's not right. And what's the world doing? Well, there's a huge guilt around the Holocaust and stuff like. Do you want another Holocaust to the Palestinians? You know, we're Semites too, by the way.
Oh, you all came from Abraham, didn't you?
Yes, of course, we are cousins. We're all Semites. We're all from the same father. You know, and how can this happen? And obviously, greatest historically, if you look, even nowadays, most of the hardest tests happen in families. You know, most of the feuds happen in families, and this is a big one. And normally, when problems go out of hand in families, you know, other reconciliation teams from outside need to come in if the families and the relatives are not able to sort it out amongst themselves. So it's about time, you know, the collective human community comes in and say, "Come on, let's be family again. This is not right."
I mean, I tell you what, I mean, this whole strip, if you have a look at it, I mean, historically, I mean, Azarians, the Babylonians, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Byzantines, Islamic Caliphate, the Ottoman Empire, Britain. I mean, it was Britain who bloody did a deal with the Jewish community to get their support in World War One, and of course, you know, they assisted the Israelis by coming into the beaches that, well, as we call it, Palestine, and moved in. It should have been recognised as a two-state system, or alternatively, Palestine. I don't know. I just, when I started researching and looking it up, and then I saw that the PLO under Arafat, I was gobsmacked when he died, and he had $5 billion worth of assets, including a fantastic #1 hotel in Paris. And I'm thinking, a lot of politicians become millionaires. You got to ask yourself, how could they become millionaires when they're on a set salary? So it's just something just doesn't kick in. And then if you go and say anything about Israel, I mean, then you become anti-Semitic, and yet. It's almost like we see today on in Facebook or social media, where we have bullying and all that stuff, and the cyberbullying or any other form. It's I noticed that here in Brisbane, it was about 5 years ago that the school kids were bullying this young fella, and he took his own life. And all those young kids, who were bullying him, they went straight in there and they removed all their posts. It was almost like you're trying to get a scapegoat, don't you? So it's easy to throw your and discard all your thoughts on one individual and bully that person. I mean, we're bullying we're bullying members of the human race here who happen to be under the flag of Palestinians, isn't it?
Exactly. Well, for this perspective, Jeffrey, there's a lot that you have raised here that needs some spotlight.
Well, look at England. I mean, just before we come on here, I just mentioned to you, I mean, if you look at England, I mean, they've had the Vikings come through, have had the Romans come through, I mean, the Normans have come through, and the Saxons have come through. They themselves have been cross-pollinated, if that's the right word, with their bloodlines. So whereas Australia's been quite be ripped from that. It's just been the local Aborigines. And of course, what you pointed out about the Israelis coming in and then accumulating land and removing people and then taking over the land. I mean, from my understanding here, Gaza was actually controlled by Egypt, and the West Bank was controlled by Jordan. And after the 6-day war there, basically, Egypt's thrown its hands up and said, well, okay, well, Israel can look after the Gaza Strip. But then Arafat came in the 60s or something to be a recognised PLO for negotiations and talks. But it seems like a lot of funds went into his account.
Of course. I mean, look, politics is a funny affair, just to put it lightly. And the story hasn't started from these last details that you've mentioned, Jeffrey. Yes, the Belfort Accord, Britain basically historically signed off Palestine to the Jews, and started this current episode of suffering. But again, the story doesn't start there. You see, as you were mentioning all these details, I was just going, I zoomed out a little bit, and I was like, look, this is the politics of divide and conquer, divide and rule. And no matter what the faces are, no matter what the sides that are involved, it's the same policy being enforced. Be it the colonial Britain there, or before that, or all these occupations that come and gone over Palestine, from the Crusaders going back to wherever you want to go back to in history. Palestine has always been a passage um, a passage route to all these warring civilizations. And if you look into the politics of it all, it's all based on divide and rule and creating as much mayhem, suffering, and pain as possible, which begs the question, who is there to benefit? Who's behind it all? It's just different faces, different phases, different timelines, but the same tactic, the same aim. So there is, to me, an indication of a particular energy, a particular force that is enforcing the same strategy, right? Using different faces. Before it was the Nazis, now it's whatever, political Zionism.
Well, in the Middle East, there, I mean, Kuwait was the way Iraq and the borders of Iraq, Iran, and Kuwait, and that was done by England again, and that Kuwait, because they had the proximity to the water there, that was ceded to British Petroleum. But there's only a little strip there for Basra for Iraq to get their oil through. But then you look at India and how it was carved up, and you had East Pakistan, West Pakistan. But coming back to your story, do you know that in America, we were over there and we were sitting down with a Navajo medicine man, and he told us about how over the period of time, how the American forefathers, as they moved across the prairies and all that stuff, and they were taking over the lands that were owned by the indigenous tribes. Mm. It's got to the point now that in the Hopi Navajo lands in Arizona and up into Utah there, I'm going to say that the rulers from Washington, D.C. configured, okay, we've got them on a reservation now, they're okay. But it wasn't a really pristine agricultural land. But then in the 50s, geologists discovered that Hopi Navajo reservation is chock-a-block full of coal, which is only a meter down, and you can do strip coaling. It's got uranium, it's got copper, it's got all the minerals. And so they came up with the Breeze-Bennett Act, which basically said, right, we're going to set up Tuba City, and anyone who's on the reservation wants to go to Tuba City, you'll get your free house and you get running water and toilet and all that stuff, and you'll have all the same facilities as the new arrivals. But if you leave the reservation, then you'll have no rights to come back on the reservation, and we'll demolish your home. Now, the ones who stayed on that property, and this is where we're coming from, the medicine man, his grandmother's still on the property. And then the Breeze Act was added to it that said you can't do any improvements or renovations to your home. And so you can't, we've got no running water. There's no solar power systems or any other windmills and stuff. You can't do that. And now they come up with a new ordinance that says once that generation leaves, every other generation that's still in existence, that's so grandparents, you got your mum and dad, and you got grandchildren, they have to vacate the reservation. That's it. It goes over to Washington. And of course, then it gets assigned over to Peabody, who can then come in and start strip mining. So, it's a rule of law that seems to be, you're asking who's behind it all. It's all about, I'm going to use the words, raping Mother Earth.
Okay. Then again, okay, fair enough. Of course it is, at least in part. And who's there to benefit, and who is instigating this mindset of raping resources and Mother Earth like this? Who's causing this level of corruption, and who's there to benefit from that? Because ultimately and eventually we'll all come to the understanding that doing that to Mother Earth will only endanger us. So that's not in our best interest. So what is the driving force behind that? You might say greed, that we all might espouse. But okay, but who's fueling that, and who is it really benefiting? If our true nature as humanity is love and peace and coexistence and sovereignty and prosperity, what type of dark that's looming, that we might, the elephant in the room that we're not calling out, that's instigating the dark that also dwells within us too, that we need to recognize and liberate. It's really, really a very important starting point on the individual level, then on the collective, is to look at these forces at their at play. Look at these, you know, invisible hands, the puppeteers behind. But remember, if these forces, and I give them no power, they're nothing, by the way. They do exist, I recognize them, but they're nothing. They have no power, because the real puppeteer is the beloved, up there pulling their strings, our strings, and everything's strings, just waiting for us to awaken and realize this. This is my perspective from a spiritual point of view. This reality, external reality that we observe, is a mere reflection of what goes on within us. It's like a scene to see and learn from, and use it as a mirror, to go within, to reflect our internal reality, so we may go in and fix these issues. Every single one of us has to come to terms with this and face themselves at some point or another in their lifetimes, and look at this dark that's within, the shadow work that needs to be done. Most people don't do that, and they end up projecting it externally. And as such, you have these wars, and as such, you have these forces, these dark forces, using our weaknesses, using our apathy towards the spiritual work that we need to do within, and they manipulate it and gain power, because the power is in our hands. It really is. Um, Certain beings that might be involved, certain dark forces in the shadows that might be pulling some strings, they need humans. They need us, because the power is in our hands. And they need to manipulate as many humans into this. I mean, look at these poor soldiers, the poor Israeli kids. They're kids, man, 19, 20-year-olds being put in this inferno, being pushed against, civilians, and to cause these crimes, giving them toys like these drones and airplanes and bombers, and telling them, oh yeah, these are terrorists, just drop the bomb, this is the military, you listen and obey, daddy daddy. This is why I have sympathy for them. I have understanding. I already immediately forgave that pilot that dropped the bomb on my mom, because I recognize he doesn't know, or she doesn't know what they're doing. They don't. They're brainwashed. They're possessed by this system. Or go and drop the bomb on them terrorists, and you're saving your country. This is a patriotic act. This is a criminal act. I'm not saying they are not to be persecuted, prosecuted, and justice needs to be applied. I'm just saying I understand where this is coming from, and I want to give them the chance to come back to their humanity and to their heart. I don't want to do tit for tat. If I want to do that, I'll just replicate this cycle of violence. This is what I chose personally to do. As I said, this ends with me. And when I say, and this is years ago, this is before I left Gaza, I've already decided this ends with me. And this is my greatest test that God has put before me, is here you go. This is your family being hit. Are you going to maintain that position? Yes, I'm going to maintain love and compassion. And this ends with me. I'm going to still grieve my mom with love, but this violence ends with me. I'm not going to go participate in that violence and cause somebody else's mother to be lost. Okay? So I maintain compassion. I forgave the pilot. But at the same time, this brings in the responsibility to the Israelis. Especially, I know so many Israelis on the other side and outside in the world who don't agree with this. This is your time now. This is your responsibility to bring awareness within your community, to speak to your children, to tell them this has to end with you. There's humans on the other side. There's a whole reason why these barricades are put up There's a whole reason why certain ideologies of supremacy and superiority being propagated in the Israeli community. There's a reason why these walls are up. So they separate people. So we don't meet on, like here in Europe and in Portugal, I met so many amazing Israelis. Like we got along absolutely fine, dancing together, eating together. It's the best feeling ever. Something I've always wanted to have in the Holy Land, in Palestine, Israel, but it never was possible because of these walls. The controllers, I call them, they know full well how to play the game of separation and create fear. And this is why people are not meeting in both sides and recognizing their common humanity. We need to do more of that. And this is a call for my Israeli counterparts, my cousins, my family on the other side, my brothers and sisters. I love you. I love you. I extend that hand to you right now. It is not the politicians. I mean, look at your politicians. It's embarrassing. Come on, guys, bring it down. Bring that monster down. Let's do it together. Let's dance together once again. The Holy Land is for all of us. The Holy Land is for everyone. Let's come together once again, recognizing our common humanity, eat together, cook together. There's more similarity between ourselves than our perceived differences. We can do this. It's us, it's our time. It's us, the people on the ground that believe in this. Protect your new generation, protect the youngsters, the vulnerable. They're being kidnapped by that system. They're kids. These are kids. I don't want them to die in Gaza or anywhere else. These are kids being sent to kill other kids. Come on, you know, this is like a compound abuse. It has to stop, you know. And there's enough of us. There's enough of us. We just need to rise. I'm telling you, there's enough of us on both sides that don't want this, that want this to stop, and it has to be done now before it's too late. If we reach a certain point where this is not repairable, it's going to be bad for everybody. The chance is now. This is repairable. This is reversible. Let's do it. This is and let's support them. Let's support this effort. Everybody is listening to us from Australia all the way, Europe, America. Get involved. They need that support. They need it because when people got the blinkers on and they're on the ground, they're not seeing the perspective, and they're run by fear, triggered by their historic trauma and demons. They're just running auto mode, fight or flight mode, crisis mode, and they justify the atrocities to each other out of fear. They're kidnapped. Both people are kidnapped by their existential fear. We have to understand the nature of trauma and how it works, and the historic trauma. The Israelis are traumatized. The Jews are traumatized from the Holocaust. They don't want that existential fear. Okay, well, everything that you're doing now with the help of this bloody political Zionism is leading you there. I'm trying to save you here. And the same with the Palestinians. I mean, the Israelis need to realize by killing another people, you're not doing a good job, and you're not even bringing safety to yourselves. And the Palestinians have their own existential fear of the Nakba. Oh my God, they kicked us out of our historic native homeland. We don't want this to ever happen again. We're going to still stay on our land. And a lot of their moves is from that existential fear too, even though this is their native land. It's understandable, yes. And they've welcomed the Jews before, etc. I understand the dynamics. You know, when you take the fear out and the trauma, you heal the trauma, people are going to suddenly realize, oh, mi casa es tu casa, my house is your house, come, and we live together and we eat. But this is the way then. Where are you healers all over the world? Let's heal this. Let's remind people so that they may sit together on one table and eat instead of bombing each other on their food tables. And it can be done. This is the way. And I'm starting. I have already started a long time ago. And I'm more determined than ever, despite my absolutely tragic personal loss. And I call upon people on the other side and everywhere in the world. Get involved. It's the time. This is the way. Let's go through this fear. Let's liberate that fear. Let's liberate that trauma. Let's release that trauma for both people. we can work at the collective, when we can work at the personal. It's possible. And it's us that needs to do it. Don't leave it in the hands of these non-credible politicians. They're just part of that separation game, that divide and rule game. They're out of control. They belong to another energy.
Well, we've actually seen it with China and Tibet, the same game plan that's taken place there, and the slaughter of unmentionable number of monks, and the beating of the drum to take Taiwan. It just seems to be the same course of action that the 5 major members of the Security Council do as we say. Don't do as we do. Yeah. So it's only you follow the money trail, and then you follow the United Nations and those 5 Security Council guys. So, the Ukraine situation with Russia, and then you look at America. I mean, America's been around for 280 years and probably been at war for 260. I mean, it's quite a substantial amount of time where it's been at war, isn't it? It seems to be its military-industrial complex that seems to be running it, fueled by financial means, isn't it? So, and China, on the other hand, is doing soft diplomacy by building infrastructure. It's a whole completely different game plan here. But look, we have Germany with Russia and the Allies, and the wall went through Berlin. I mean, it took 40 years before the wall fell down. I mean, and the whole timeline of life itself. You guys have been right there, as I mentioned before, from the Azarians right through. What is it? Is there something there? Is there a crystal that's placed in that earth there of some magnitude it's been programmed that creates all this drama? I'm looking back to where you're coming from to say why we got this constant conflict at this particular junction. There must be something in the epicenter of the ley lines that come through on this planet and meets at one particular spot.
Definitely. I mean, it's not for those who are in the know. It's just common knowledge that the Holy Land, Palestine, especially where Jerusalem is one of the most powerful vortexes on earth. One of the most important ley line. One of the most important heaven's gate. I mean, come on, look at the number of prophets that descended from heaven there. Jesus, all the way to all the other prophets on the Holy Land, Jacob, John, everybody, Joseph, etc. And those are not so famous. The prophet, the journey of Isra, what's called the Isra and Mi'raj journey, where the prophet of Islam, Muhammad, was visited by Archangel Gabriel with this light being called Burak that they mounted, and they, faster than the speed of light, were in Jerusalem, and from there he ascended through this wide Jerusalem, through the 7 heavens and down, and there's a whole journey with miraculous happenings there, and that changed the course of history as we know it since then. So it's an important...
Can I stop you there for a second? Can I just stop you there for a second? On Saturday, I just asked about Muhammad, and a gentleman told me that he was actually of the Roman faith, and his hand was up to become the next pope, but he got balloted out, and he didn't get the job as a pope, so he went off to set up, and he changed his name to Muhammad. Is there some story, the truth to that?
I haven't come across this story. Say again the...
Okay, so he was of the Roman faith,
yes,
and then he was a potential candidate to become the Pope, and he thought he was going to get the Pope's job, and he didn't, so he got stood over. So he upped and said, "See you later, Jack," and he went and changed his name to Muhammad, and then he went off to create the Islamic faith. Is there any truth to that?
This is the first time I hear of it. Lord knows. But
he probably does. The Lord does know, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of ironies in this reality. But the point I'm trying to focus on is that it is a matter of fact that Jerusalem and the Holy Land is hugely strategic for our collective awakening. If it transpires to be true, and to my knowledge it is true, that otherwise why would all of this be centered around the Holy Land and Jerusalem historically? That this Heaven's Gate, Jerusalem, this incredible vortex, if properly activated and given back to people again, would contribute to our awakening and ascension to higher levels of consciousness. Why would the controllers want to give you that chance? It's clear. Anybody that works on divide and rule and benefits from that don't want human consciousness to unite and to amplify and to rise, right? So what do? You try and block that. How do you block it? By fear, suffering, and pain. Do everything possible to cause that. Find your partners in crime and empower them at all costs. This is what's been happening. That's why I say the Israelis and the Palestinians better wisen up. They better wake up and understand that their enemy is the same. They're not enemy to each other. They are victims of the same enemy. They're being used and abused by the same source, by the same force. And it's about time that they unite in their common humanity and realize that their enemy is not each other, but a common one that they need to unite against, and the rest of humanity too. Once we realize that, this is the only way we're going to break free from this enslavement template, really, that's taking the whole humanity. People in the West think they're free, that they're not divided, and they're not being used and abused in their own convenient ways. It's the same. It's the same tactic being played out and pulled on everybody globally. And really, we're reaching the brink of it, because the whole thing is collapsing. Look at the corruption. Look at the pollution. Look at the suffering everywhere in the world. The manipulation is unreal. And believe me, it's the same force. It's the same side that is doing the troubles everywhere. In Palestine, is doing it everywhere. And
the human lifespan, let's just say it's 100 years, right?
Yes.
But what you're saying to me, and what I'm listening, is that this play continually plays out with different actors in a different costume, but it's the same game. So the question is the same. If you're talking about the puppeteer, I mean, that puppeteer can't be 100 years old in human terms. That puppeteer would have to be thousands and thousands of thousands of years old.
100%. And we, in our lore, in our tradition, we're quite versed, if you will, on these beings that live for thousands of years and that pull these strings. Of course, we call them the world of the jinn. And we can get into that. I don't know if that was the scope of the show, but what I can touch upon it just very loosely for now. I'm happy to have a separate show for this, but there are beings in this existence that want to remain hidden, so they're not exposed, and they live for thousands of years. They're shapeshifters. They take different forms. You might think that they are the next human next to you, but they're not. They just shapeshift. And they live for thousands of years. They understand humanity more than we understand ourselves at the moment, or most of us. And they are repeating the same game, the same cycles, the same tactics, different places, different timelines, different costumes, basically, same old trick being pulled on all of us. And it's just, come on, let's just, let's the elephant in the room, let's call it out for what it is. And it's using humans. It's everybody's saying, it's money, it's to do with petrol, it's to do with gas. That's why they're doing that. It's just tools. These are tools that they're using to keep you entangled in that reality and to keep themselves hidden. This is the ancient enemy of humanity, and it's time for it to be exposed And it's time for us to unite and call it out for what it is, because they have no power unless we give that to them. Absolutely no power whatsoever. So humanity, reclaim your power back. Call them for what it is and strike them out on the fringe of existence as they deserve and as they belong. This is where they belong. It's part of the existence. That's fine, but not in this way. It's gone way too far for way too long, and it's time that we reclaim that. And we have the power. This is what I'm trying to say, is that we have it. It's just there's so much fear around it and helplessness. It's just because people don't understand their power and their God-given right.
So would you say that those individuals that you just spoke about, they've actually been cast out from their galaxy or whatever, and they've been sent to the outer rims, and they're serving their prison sentence, which could be, I don't know, 3 rotations of around the galactic sun. So I'm just theorizing a potential possibility here of saying, well, we're in the kindergarten here, let's play with the kids.
Well, look, there are many theories about this. Regardless of the details of these theories, we need to focus on the nature of these beings. And these beings are not one. They're like tribes and nations, just like us. So it's not just one. There's one class within these beings and entities. This is the nefarious class. This is the dangerous one. And this is the sworn enemy of humanity. But these beings, they come in different forms and shapes. Some of them are actually friendly to humanity, and they want also our best interests because it matches with their best interests. So it's not black and white, but it's the nefarious ones, the dark ones of them that are sworn enemies to humanity. These are the ones that are problematic. In fact, we can work with these beings that have common interest with us. There's nothing wrong with that. And they're waiting for it in many ways too, and they're on standby. They're just waiting for us to awaken and reclaim our divine right and our power, and work together for the common good, and then strike these nefarious little beings out to the fringe of society, to the sidelines where they belong. That's all it is. Then game's over. It's as simple as that. It's just we need to awaken, and they're doing everything they can, everything they possibly can, to stop us from having this knowledge and having this power back, and to keep us forever divided and turn our attention and power against each other. And this is why I say it stops with me. It starts with all of us. Hey, cease fire now within yourself, within yourself, between you and your neighbors. Cease fire inside. Maintain this inner peace and compassion, and then build bridges based on that. Then it's game over. This is everything. It's compassion and love back. Just work on that. That in of itself is enough. That brings enough light that shatters that darkness. Really, this is all we need to do. It's just as simple as that. That's what the role of all prophets and gurus and guides throughout eternity. They've been coming to remind us of this simple thing. And that's all it is. Because the only power that these dark beings have is a power of temptation and insinuation. That's not even a power, because you have the choice to refuse that temptation and to refuse falling into fear. It's just a calling. They call you out, and then you say yes or no. Don't fall for it. Maintain your sovereignty, your own power, your own love, your own heart space, and then they have no power. It's as simple as that. Defeated. They have no power over us. All the traditions, the Quran and all the tablets, everything has been telling us the same thing, right? And they have different names, different descriptions, and different traditions, but it's the same beings, the same entities, and they have been let out over the past 60 years. This is why over the past 50, 60 years, if you notice, there's a huge, decline in everything, basically. And that's to do with them, because they were unleashed. They were unleashed. They were imprisoned. They were contained before. Over the past 60 years, they've been unleashed. That's why the corruption has increased dramatically at every sphere of life. And now it's coming to an end. Now is the end. Actually, last night, I may reveal, marks the end of that period. It's over for them. Love and light for everybody. We just need to reclaim it back, and job is done. And this is my calling. I start this with me in the darkest time of my personal life, in the worst tragedy that could happen to me and my family. I maintain that position, and I call upon everybody in their own individual tests to maintain that position, and we all go through it. My mom is not dead. She is alive. Her blood hasn't been spilled in vain. Her soul consciously chose that. It's the biggest sacrifice that she could have done. She's my biggest hero. I'm forever proud of her. She chose that path to sacrifice herself as an offering for love and compassion, because her blood is going to serve as that rain of mercy to extinguish the fire that's raging in the Holy Land. She faced it. Look at that courage. I'm just going to give this tribute to my mom. Look at that courage. She stood there in that fear, in that pain for 144 plus days, every single minute expecting the worst. She was told to evacuate. She did listen eventually, and she evacuated into an UNRWA school. They got bombed yet again there, and my uncle, my own uncle, in front of her eyes got killed, and his son, my cousin. So my mom was like, you know what? There's nowhere safe. We might as well stay in our homes and die in dignity as oppressed people. Then we go back to the Lord, and maybe from there, from that position, we might contribute to a better Holy Land.
I mean, you guys come straight out of Star Wars. I mean, you guys are fighting the bloody Emperor and Darth Vader, and you know you're the Luke Skywalkers against this big monolith of a military-industrial complex, isn't it?
Well, the Palestinian souls, they're known historically. My natives, the Canaanites, my ancestors, the Philistines, we have come here for this, and we don't shy away from that. In fact, I dare say that the key is in our hands. We hold the key of liberation. We hold the key of liberation for the Israelis themselves, from themselves. They're on a self-destructive mode. We hold their keys, and we're going to do it. We're going to save them from their own selves, from their own cycle that's consuming them. And we don't shy away from that. We say it out loud. We know the position we're standing in, and we're going to hold it for both people and for the world. You know? Our souls have come for this, and we welcome this completely, wholeheartedly, no fear. We are here with a brave heart, but with a loving and compassionate heart at the same time. And we're not going to, and we'll stand in the face of the worst adversity, smiling. Look at our people. Look at, just yesterday, I made a post of them praying Eid in the middle of the rain, shaking, cold, no electricity, with the bombs falling in the street. The mosque have been bombed. They're praying together in congregation in the street, because they recognize that power, it comes from within. We all have that birthright. This is what these dark beings don't have. The divine spark within us. We have been dignified by divine decree, and we've been given that. These beings are jealous from that. We just have to, it's just as simple as that. They're jealous because God chose to place that secret within every single one of us. We are the universe in ecstatic motion, like Rumi teaches. Don't act so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion. You have the capacity to be one with the divine, with everything there is. This is the greatest power ever available to every single one of us, and every prophet has come to remind us of that and invite you there to seek that power. Game over for them. That's why they don't want you awakened. They don't want you to know this. They don't want you to do the inner work.
Of course.
So,
Of course. Why would they want you to wake up, to realize what a divine being you are?
This is it. And imagine my people, the Palestinian people, also some Israelis on the other side for sure. They're brave souls and they're doing the work. I salute them. I recognize them. I stand side by side with them. But the Palestinians, look at them. Look at these young souls. Look at these babies. I mean, these are souls from the stars. They've come down willingly to choose this fate, to face this fate. What a kind of soul that is, right? They're here to be mirrors for us, to say, hey, wake up. They're willing to sacrifice themselves so that we can wake up. And a lot of people are waking up, make no mistake about it. You know, they're watching and it's moving them. It's moving. Don't underestimate what's happening globally. It's just we cannot afford for this effort to be kidnapped anymore. This momentum that's building up, you know, they want to undercut us. We have to maintain that momentum and take it in the direction of our heart, not in the direction of fear and further separation and divisions and us against them. No, we wake up to our common humanity, to our interconnectivity through the heart, one soul, one love, we rise. They're going to try and derail this also. We cannot give them that chance. The only way is to stay firm and established in your heart space, in your soul, realizing that the divine is with you. Have no fear. I walk down the valley of death, fearing nothing, for I know the divine is with me. This is the motto. We all have access to that. This is what the Palestinians are shouting out loud. Drop them bombs. My mom was in her room. No problem. I stay on my land. I'm the native of this land. I am Palestine. I stay there. I have no fear. And they've done it. They've done it. They've done it. If they have done that much, at least do your bit. Do your bit. Especially if you're not under such danger and you don't have to face that. Do your bit. And now I'm on a mission because my father lives on. My father lives on. The father figure. He was in the same room. You dropped a 1-ton bomb on our block. You did not take him out because it wasn't time. Because you do not decide. You do not decide life and death. It's in the hand of my beloved, the Most High. He was not taken out because it's not time. My mom, brother, his wife, and niece and nephew, they went because they wanted to. Because they wanted to. I can talk about this story another time. They wanted to, and they made a deal that they will leave no one behind. They will go away as a family. And it was time for them. And they served their purpose. My dad still lives on. He was in the same room. My sister too. Right? There's a reason for that. And my mission now is to get them out and to continue. This is a big announcement I'm about to make. I am going to carry the legacy of my mother, the legacy of selflessness, the legacy of service. She's always been serving her community in and out, her little community, my siblings, us, our little family, all her life, never complaining, but serving with love and selflessness. I'm going to take that legacy of my mom and I'm going to continue on a global scale to bring in that service, that love. And it's my intention is to establish a place, that healing space for grieving together, Israelis and Palestinians, but other communities as well. Healing space, a space of ascension, of spirituality, of opening the hearts, of meeting ourselves at the deepest level. This is my tribute to mom, is to hold her legacy and move on. And it is my plea to seek your support in this, because we can do it. We can do it. I need to get my family, remaining surviving family, out. And we will come together and we will serve for peace and love, regardless of who you are. As Rumi says, come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of living. Come, come, whoever you are, even if you broke your vow 1,000 times before. come, yet come again. This is not a caravan of despair. This is a caravan of hope. And this is the caravan that I drive and belong to. And I'm going to hold that space. So I need your support. I need your support. My remaining family is in immediate danger, and I need to get them evacuated so we do the work together. And then I will need your support for this community, which I may announce for the first time on air that I have chosen it to be Portugal. Portugal, yes. The western, for those who know, the westernmost part of Europe. And the reason being is because my mom passed the minute I entered Portugal. I was on a journey, and as I entered Portugal, driving from Spain all the way from Konya, Turkey, actually. I was in Konya, where is the resting place of Rumi. I gave my respect and love, had a retreat there. I drove to Lithuania, and from there to Spain. And as I enter into Portugal from Spain, the news arrived that night when I was on the Atlantic. And this is when I knew, okay, my mom left the minute I entered Portugal. Portugal is the place. Her mission stopped then. My mission continues with her. She is with me. And it starts here. And this is the announcement I'm making. We're going to do this together. I'm going to hold that space. And I invite all of you for that. And stay tuned, because we're just getting started, and I'm going to release more and announce more on this front. So let's make this happen. Let's be practical. Enough, sentimental talking and stuff. Let's be practical, because actions is what makes the difference in this cause and effect reality we live in. So let's do this. I call upon you to support this with all your heart, financially, or by your prayers, or by your own effort. You're welcome. I'm going to invite all of you. I'm going to hold that space and invite you physically on that healing space where we can dance together, whirl together, eat together, connect with earth, live with the real cycles, bring paradise back on earth. We start with ourselves and with our community, and before we know it, the world at large. This is the way, and I give my life to that. Hence why I seek your support. One step at a time. Let's get our family rescued from Gaza, and let's build this community, and let's contribute. May love and peace prevail on earth. May compassion be our signature once again. It is our birthright, and I dedicate the rest of my life for that. Thank you.
Hey,
Oh, hang on a minute, Jeffrey.
no, I was just going to say the last thing is, because most people I spoke to in the last couple of weeks is it time now for the Hamas to hand back the captives? Would that be the thing that would bring the peace?
What brings peace is that we hand back our souls that are kept captive within ourselves by the oppression of the mind. This is where peace starts. Peace starts by the work that we need to do. This is, like I said, the external reality only reflects our internal reality. We need to first free our captive souls from within, and then we will see that reflected in the external reality. Look, politically speaking, Jeffrey, I don't want to see anybody captive. Anybody. Not the tens of thousands of Palestinians illegally kept in Israeli prisons, illegally, with administrative imprisonments. It's embarrassing. This is systematic. It's been happening for tens of years. Neither the tens of Israelis that are now captive in Gaza. Absolutely, I'm against all of that, and I pray that this comes to an end very, very soon. And I don't support it whatsoever, but it just doesn't take a genius to tap into the divide and rule tactics and who's pulling the strings on both
True.
sides, and how it's being used to further the divide. Listen, the Israelis that got killed, the majority of them on the 7th of October, when I was whirling with you, Andrena, you know, in Glastonbury, on that day, I was whirling for love and peace. How, like a coincidence? I was there on that day, on that morning. We were whirling together, and the following day too, for peace and love when this kicked off. The majority of the people I learned on the Israeli side that got killed were, you know, the permaculture people, the peaceful, loving people. Yes, there were others too, an army, etc., etc. But this is it. They, you know, like it's all, and the ravers. A lot of them are good people. They're good people, peaceful, loving people. It makes you wonder, you know, what are the hands behind that are just orchestrating this in the most masterful, devilishly and dark, masterful way to cause the maximum level of trauma triggering. Because this is the whole thing. They wanted to trigger the Israelis and the Palestinians in the worst way possible, so that then the impact, and we need to be careful. It's not a, you know, Hamas and Israel. It's not this. They want us to be caught into the drama of it all. No. It's a trap. It's a trap, and that we must be careful with. And again, put the attention on the elephant in the room, on that dark behind the scenes that pulling these strings, and let's not fall for it. Yes, I'm gonna call for peace and love and for the release of all kidnapped people, and I'm gonna call for peace and love in the whole Holy Land, and that's what we're gonna maintain. And I genuinely wish that the Palestinians did not have to resist, did not have to pick up arms. I'm against militarization of the Intifada. I've always been. I've always told my people, be careful. Do not fall in the trap. Do not go into that. It's a big trap. Maintain peace and protest, or peaceful resistance, if you will. Maintain your humanity. Don't be dragged into the militarization of your struggle, because that's exactly what the dark wants. And then boom, it's out of control.
Yeah, but the next act in the play is the reconstruction of Gaza. So everybody's saying, oh, there's money there to be made to rebuild it and put the sewage systems in, the IT systems in, and the water systems, and all supermarkets. They're all going to see the big dollars and say, oh, okay, here's the benefit.
Yes, but look, Jeffrey, how about the reconstruction of the whole Holy Land on compassionate grounds, on cohesive grounds? How about the reconstruction of people's infrastructure within? You know, where is the compassion and love? How could it be that a human being reaches a level of pressing a button to drop a bomb on clearly visible civilian targets that they see and they find justification in that? There's something seriously wrong here within their construct, within their mindset. They're literally kidnapped by that energy. So how about reconstructing that first? Then it stops. It's like, look, the mess is gone too far, and the mess is big, and we can't get lost in, you know, wiping out or plowing the sea, you know, or cleaning or patchwork. We have to, you know, sometimes, unfortunately, life has to play out. It's gone way too far, and certain things need to unfortunately play out, and we have to bite our tongue and on the pain, hold on the pain until it settles. It settles down and works itself out, and then, at the same time, we work strategically on the grounds I've mentioned before. If you want a strategic intervention that works and lasts for the common good long term, I just shared my strategy with you earlier, and it's not the strategy of the politicians. This is, we will just get caught into that, and it's again, it serves the whole overarching rule of divide and rule, you
Yeah, of
know.
course.
And we can't contribute to that anymore. It's just we have to stop acquiescing, even at the mental level and the emotional level, and we have to bring in a different reality, and we are part of that. It's the new earth that we're building, you know.
We are in the
Very good.
greatest time of history.
Yes,
We
absolutely.
are in the time of change now, and we're all, I mean, you're a warrior of light, of love, of peace. We're all behind you, and we will support you, and we will share. And I know many of my friends and healers will all do the same, and we will help in any way we can. And it would be lovely further down the track if you'd like to come back and share how all these lovely changes and the prayers are starting to make a difference around the planet.
I'm here to stay. I sure will share. My life and death is in the hands of my beloved only. For that I fear not. I have no problem being here or in any other dimension in the way that my beloved pleases, for I am with my beloved here, there, or anywhere. It does not matter. I'm here for service, and I shall continue. On that, may I offer a prayer?
Please.
And I invite everybody to join me in their heart. Stay in your heart space. We're going to amplify this wish that is in the deep. We feel it, no? It's in the deepest, in the depth of our core and our soul. We all call for that. We all want that. So we're going to amplify that. Now we're going to ask for peace and love. We're going to ask for compassion. We're going to ask for opening the hearts. So our beloved brothers and sisters in humanity all around the world can feel once again what it means to be empowered in their divine power, what it means to be compassionate, and how sweet it is to be loving and compassionate, and to feel everybody as your own. We call for the dark to be lifted. We ask for the darkness to be lifted, for the corruption to be lifted in all its forms and manifestations, and for love to prevail and compassion. Once again, I ask for guidance. I ask for protection. I ask for love. I ask for mercy. I ask for laughter, for joy. I ask for unity. I ask for oneness. I ask for peace in the Holy Land and everywhere else in the world and beyond. I ask for the beings of light, human and none, to unite together for this mission. And I ask for everybody to contribute within their capacity in any way, form, or shape they are called to when they connect in their heart. I give gratitude for this moment. I give gratitude for this greatest journey of a lifetime. I give gratitude for all the souls that sacrificed and that taught us to sacrifice time, effort, energy, money, resources, and their lives to give us the opportunity to have this understanding and have this moment. I give gratitude to all of them, to our teachers, to our parents, to our coaches, to our children. I give gratitude to the plants, to Mother Earth, to the animals, to the beings of light and love. I'm even grateful for the role the dark has played in showing us the light, for without the dark we don't know what the light is. And my utmost gratitude is for the Most High, for the guides, of course, and the prophets, and for the Most High, the most loving, for my beloved, for granting us this opportunity to get to know Him, the divine, the beloved, in this way, in this time, on this earth. I recognize and testify that nothing exists but the beloved, the one, the source, the most compassionate, the most merciful. It is not a he or a she. We call in Arabic and Aramaic too. Jesus used to call him Allah. It's the only word that doesn't have a form of a female or a male. I give gratitude for this radio station, for Jeffrey and Andrea and Andrena. Thank you so much, and I give gratitude for the listeners, because together we amplify this, we are one, and together we arise. I pray for that. Ameen. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala man ismuhu Ahmad. بجاه نبيك المصطفى وبسر سورة الفاتحة. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. بارك. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. That last part was in Arabic, just for those who...
No, guess that. Well, thank you so much from heart and soul for what you're doing and what you're sharing, and to all your family members. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show again. So thank you so much.
All the love, Andrena, Jeffrey. Thank you so much. Thank you for the listeners. And until next time, I suppose, unless you wanted to conclude in your way.
Yeah, no, it would be lovely, eh?
Yeah. And I'll keep more updates on my social media for those who want to follow, because the updates are more regular there. And I hope we will have this interview more often.
Yeah.
But until then, almost on a daily basis, I keep updates both on Facebook, under there on the screen under Abdul Karim Vibes. Also same on Instagram, but probably more active on Instagram. But both. And maybe I will establish other platforms as we get along. Currently, my most urgent campaign is, again, as a reminder, is for my family, the immediate rescue of my parents. There's a link on the website. You can find it in the bio of my Facebook and Instagram as well, where you can contribute. This is unfortunately the only way at the moment to get them out. I even got the Foreign Office in the UK involved. Their file, my family's file, is with a member, without naming him, a member of the House of Lords. They promised to do something about it. I've been waiting for more than a month now. Unfortunately, nothing. It's in also the hands of the Foreign Office, the secretary, actually, of the Foreign Office. Nothing has been done. They can do something. I don't understand the apathy and this reluctance. They're saying now to me, oh, there's a lot of applications and we're doing our best to go through them. I mean, nonsense. Come on, how many?
Yeah,
Palestinians
of course.
Okay, look at the Ukrainians and how many they've been evacuated. It's just. I don't want to express my political opinion on this now at the moment, but it's just sad to see. I'm a British citizen, and this is my father and mother. I've already lost my mother and brother. The least thing they could do is to help me evacuate, and they have every power to do that, to evacuate my father. So I'm hopeful that at some point it will happen, but I can't wait and depend on our governments, unfortunately. So what's been working for thousands of people so far is this method of paying the Egyptians $5,000 to $10,000 per adult and they do evacuate them even without paperwork. So this is my top priority, and then to bring them over to safety somewhere where I am in Europe and have this community, and together bring that love and peace and that service back and share it with everybody. So I seek your support for that. Thank you.
We'll pray for that. Thank you, Abdul.
Thank you, Andrena. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody listening, and same time, same place next week.
Thank you so much.